Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Rich Bradley, President of the Board of Public Service. This is the regular meeting of the Board of Public Service for January 25th, 2022. And we have no lettings today, but we do have a revocation hearing, so we will begin with that. Hearing number 114094-RH is being conducted pursuant to section 26.100.030 of the revised code of the city of St. Louis. The purpose of this hearing is to determine whether to revoke the conditional use permit numbered as 114094 issued for Aaron's Hauling, CO Aaron Allen, to occupy 4255 Westminster Place as a hauling business, office use only. The parties have been notified of the violation of the condition of this conditional use permit in writing by certified mail, along with the posted notice of today's hearing date. The hearing has been convened in order to address issues surrounding condition number 1 of the conditional use permit, and the condition in question is as follows. Condition number 1, no home occupation shall be permitted that A, changes the outside appearance of the dwelling or is visible from the street. B, generates traffic, parking, sewage, or water use in excess of what is normal in the residential neighborhood. The Office of the Zoning Administrator has the burden to prove the conditional use permit conditions have not been complied with. After all the evidence of the zoning administrator has been presented, the board will ask for additional testimony, if any, in support of this revocation. Then the conditional use holder will be given an opportunity to present evidence. Lastly, the board will hear other testimony in opposition to the revocation, if any. Your testimony today is being recorded. When you come forward, please state your name and address and be sworn in by the secretary. As you testify, please direct your comments to the board and not to those in the audience. Members of the audience are asked to remain silent and not coach the witnesses. During your testimony, members of this board may have questions for you. Following the hearing, the board will proceed with its regular agenda, and following the conclusion of the regular agenda, the board will deliberate, discuss, and vote on the hearing. The board will notify the conditional use holder of its decision by mail in about 2 weeks. The Board of Public Service has in its possession the following documents which are being introduced into evidence. Item 1, a certified copy of the zoning code of the city of St. Louis. Item 2, a letter dated March 31st, 2008 from Larry Isom of the Neighborhood Stabilization Office expressing support of Aaron's Hauling home office being located at 4255 Westminster Place, so long as the home office is used for managerial purposes only and there is no hauling activities at that location. Item 3, a letter dated April 4th, 2008, sent to Mary Hart Burton, zoning commissioner, from the Aldermen of the 18th Ward, Terry Kennedy, expressing support for 4255 Westminster having a conditional use for a business office so long as the property is used for that purpose. There are no customers or signage on the property, and the neighborhood association supports the use. Item 4, the conditional use permit numbered as 114094, dated April 29th, 2008, issued to Aaron Allen to occupy 4255 Westminster Place as a hauling business, office use only. Item 5, a letter dated November 22nd, 2021, sent to Frank Oswald, building commissioner of the city of St. Louis, from the law firm of Rosenblum and Goldenhirsch, explaining that Mr. David G. Bender was retained to represent Stephen Cook and Michael Sunblood, the owners of 454 North Boyle, who have submitted multiple requests for inspection of zoning violations regarding 4255 Westminster Place and 4261 Westminster Place. Item 6, a memorandum dated December 14th, 2021, from the zoning plan examiner to the zoning administrator stating that on December 14th, 2021, the zoning inspector found a violation of condition number 1, subsections A and B of the conditional use permit. This memo includes photographs of the noted violations. Item 7, a letter dated January 5th, 2022, sent to Aaron's Hauling, CO Aaron Allen, 4255, number 1, subsection, Westminster Place, from the zoning inspector, warning of the violation of condition number 1, subsections A and B of the permit that were found upon a recent site inspection and providing notice of the revocation hearing. Item 8, a letter dated January 5th, 2022, sent to Stacy Allen at 4255 Westminster Place from the zoning inspector, warning of the violation of condition number 1, subsections A and B of the permit that was found upon a recent site inspection and providing notice of a revocation hearing. Item 9, a letter dated January 22nd, 2022, from Sally C. Greenwood, a resident at 4235 Olive Street since 2007, expressing concerns about the look of 4255 Westminster Place and its unsold adjacent lot, including photographs of the property and their effects on the stability of the neighborhood, etc. Item 10, an undated letter from Patricia Tress, Biaspus, neighbor across the alley from Aaron's Hauling, expressing her concern and frustration with the business's activity, items strewn about the alley, such as rusty nails and broken glass, and the reduction to her property value, etc. And item number 11, a copy of the public notice of today's hearing. At this time, the board asks a representative of the Office of Zoning Administrator, please come forward and be sworn in.
Do you solemnly swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do. Good afternoon, board. Dylan Mosier, City Hall, room 400, the zoning office. So I did an investigation of the site this morning. I was probably on site for about 15 minutes, approximately 8:15 to probably about 8:30. Unfortunately, there was no, the problem persists, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I still found them to be in violation of condition number 1. You should have some photos that I took this morning. So just to kind of clarify what you might be looking at, I walked up from the alley side and took a photo kind of over the privacy fence, and it's a lot of stuff. I think you just referenced a complaint that was broken glass and screws and such, but I mean it's miscellaneous appliances and unsightly materials and whatnot, and a massive amount of it. So the problem persists.
Okay, so just to be clear, your site investigation this morning, today, the condition number 1, subsections A and B, the conditional use holder is still in violation.
Yeah, my reference was condition number 1, subsection A, which is changes the no home occupation shall be permitted that changes the outside appearance of the dwelling or is visible from the street, and subsection D, like my first name Dylan, that results in the outdoor storage or display of anything, but it's all one condition. So ultimately, no matter how many of those subsections or which ones you violate, it is a violation of condition number 1, but just for clarity's sake.
Great, thank you. At this time, I would ask if any members of the Board of Public Service have any questions for our zoning administrator's representative. We'll take those now.
Quick question, and I'm sorry I didn't hear this in the beginning probably. How long has this issue persisted?
couldn't give you an exact answer on that. I have an abbreviated version of the file. There should be sort of a master file, I'm assuming, somewhere that has the originating complaint from a neighbor, but I don't have that information at the ready right now. I apologize.
So Director, it looks from my notes that the conditional use permit was originally issued on April 29th of 2008. And I think there's nothing else here that gives any dates, but I'm sure that if we have anyone else speaking, they can reference a time frame for you. Any further questions from any members of our board for the zoning administrator's representative?
If I may, my boss, Mary Hart, Burton, the zoning administrator, is on the line. Mary, do you have a copy of that originating complaint or whatever?
So, yes, thank you, President and members of the board. We first became aware of what was going on here in late November, whenever we received a letter from Mr. David Bender. So that's when our office became aware of the issue. I can't tell you when it started. I can only tell you when we became aware of it.
So late 2021, November?
Yes.
Thank you.
And are there multiple complainants?
We got a letter from the attorney, and he alluded to neighbors in the area that had contacted him after he said he had turned this in to the city several times. I'm not sure exactly where he turned it in, but it did not make it to the zoning office until he sent a complaint to my boss, the building commissioner, and copied me. And then I got the complaint.
But on the letter that the attorney drafted, there were no other specified complainants?
Oh, no, there were several complaints on the letter. I can read the letter to you.
No,
if
no,
you
I'm saying parties.
Oh,
How
no,
many?
he
Just he's representing
indicated
one
he was
individual?
acting on behalf of the neighborhood residents. So I think the attorney is on the call and he'd be able to answer that for you.
One last question for the owner of the property. How long have they owned that property?
So we're gonna walk through, Director, and each of these individuals will have an opportunity to speak. You can ask them directly. At this moment, it's simply the zoning administrator's office we're going through. So that'd be a great question to ask the conditional use permit holder. Okay. Any further questions for the zoning administrator's office at this time?
President Bradley, I have a question. I just want to make sure this is the first and only complaint that we've received.
Dylan, you want to handle that one? Or Mary?
So this is the only complaint that our office has received, yes.
Thank you. Any further questions for the zoning administrator? Okay, seeing none. Thank you. The board at this time asked if there's anyone else who wishes to testify that the noted conditions have not been complied with. Please come forward and be sworn in. This is in support of the revocation. I know there are a number of people on the call. What I would simply do is ask you to raise your hand on the screen or address me verbally. I will recognize you and then ask the secretary to swear you in. Okay, I see, let's start with S. Cook.
Hi,
Hi, do you solemnly swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
yes,
Can you please state your name and your address, and then you're free to speak your thoughts.
thank you. My name is Dr. Stephen Cook, and I live at 454 North Boyle Avenue, across the alley from 4255 Westminster Place. There is no peace and quiet just outside my dining and living room windows, owing to this business's steady stream of vehicles to include plywood trailers, pickup trucks, dump trucks up to 5 at a time, all overflowing with bulk garbage coming and going, or parked out on the street on the adjacent vacant lot or in the alley. And many times, my car has nearly been hit trying to exit the alley owing to the obstructed view their fleet of parked trucks create. There is also a constant flow of foot traffic of men hitching and unhitching wagons, hauling bulk debris from one truck bed to another, and carrying ladders, garbage cans, and other equipment from their backyard to these vehicles all hours of the day and night. Their backyard is essentially an unsightly, wide open staging area full of hauling equipment and bulk garbage, as is 4253 Westminster Place and annexed to the main junkyard, both owned by the same family. I have witnessed the employees of this business toss panes of glass, discarded oil, and all sorts of other hazardous materials inside the city receptacles or next to them for the city to haul away. I've also seen at dusk many times rodents scampering between their fencing and into the overflowing city receptacles and back. For these reasons, I respectfully ask that the home office permit for Aaron's hauling be revoked. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your testimony. We appreciate that. At this time, I'll open the floor up for questions from any of our board directors who would like to have some. Okay, seeing no questions for this individual, we will move on to the next. Michael Sunblad, you are next, sir.
Michael, can you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please proceed. Start with your name, your address, and then you can tell us what's on your mind.
Great. My name is Dr. Michael Sunblad, and I live at 454 North Boyle Avenue, across the alley behind 4255 Westminster Place. And I'm in favor of the revocation of the home office permit. The residents of this address are operating an unsafe and disruptive hauling business from their home, not a peaceful home office. The increased traffic and parking of large commercial trucks and trailers, the hauling and public dumping of bulk commercial and construction waste in public alleyways, and the open storage of junk in yards and trailers visible from residences and the public streets negatively impacts the quiet use and enjoyment of my home. The presence of a hauling business so near to my home in an area not zoned for business also creates many safety issues. I've had several near-miss accidents in my car when attempting to turn out of the public alley because of the many large work vehicles parked on North Boyle make it impossible to see oncoming traffic. The hauling business puts a strain on residents and on city resources. The trash receptacles meant for residential trash are often filled to overflowing with commercial and construction waste. I've witnessed the residents of 4255 Westminster dump windows in the alley that were later smashed, leaving broken glass throughout the public alley, a clear hazard. I found motor oil dumped in a city dumpster after seeing the residents maintain work vehicles parked on North Boyle at nighttime. Revoking this permit will help ensure safety of residents, promote the cleanliness of public streets, alleyways, and the neighborhood, and allow me finally the quiet use and enjoyment of my home. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. At this time, I'll open the floor up if any of our board members have any questions for Dr. Sunblad. Okay, seeing no questions, I believe there was an Andy Wu who had his hand up. Did Andy, are you still on the call?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you please raise your right hand. The secretary will swear you in.
Andy, do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Okay, please state your name, address, and proceed with what you'd like to tell the board.
Thank you. My name is Andy Wu. I live at 456 North Boyle Avenue. I live there with my wife, and we can see the backyard of said hauling business from our dining room window, and we are in favor of the revocation of their permit. Our neighbor's business is severely impacting my wife and I's quiet enjoyment of our property. The noise of their trucks and works will often scare our cats. I've seen I've seen the shared dumpsters in the alleyway be overfilled with big objects lying next to them. And these big objects, such as couches and OTVs, do not get picked up by the city and remain in the alley for a very long period of time. We have also noticed the presence of glass shards and sharp objects closer to the dumpster, making it dangerous for us to use them. Our neighbor's business also poses a safety issue for us and other residents that share the alleyway that enters and exits our homes. Before the no parking sign was placed at the exit of the alleyway onto North Boyle Avenue, my wife got into a car accident where she was T-boned while turning left onto Boyle Avenue because the big truck was obscuring her view and she could not see the incoming traffic. I had to take leave from school that day just to make sure she was safe. Sometimes the trucks are also parked in the alleyway by the dumpsters or in the open land next to their house, which again makes turning out of our garage space of the condo onto the alley, which is a very tight turn, very hard, forcing us to go to the other way towards Sarah Street instead onto Boyle. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your testimony. At this time, I'll ask if any of our board members have any questions for Mr. Wu.
I have one question. Mr. Wu, how long has this been going on?
My wife and I
that you
moved in.
remember?
Yes. So we bought the property in the fall of 2018 and we moved in that year, and it has been an issue since we moved in.
Okay, thank you. And have you brought this to the attention to the city in various times or previous to this?
Myself, I was not aware of such avenues until our neighbors at 454 North Boyle reached out to us. But I am currently part of our board, on the board of our HOA, and we have this issue with the alleyway, the dumpsters, and the trash, and the parking and the left turn has been a very frequent topic.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for the questions.
Any further questions for Mr. Wu from the board? Seeing none, thank you very much. I know at one point I saw a hand up from our zoning administrator, Mary Hart Burton. Mary, do you have any follow-up comments?
No, sir, I just forgot to take my hand down. Sorry.
All fine, all fine. Anybody else who would like to make any comments supporting the revocation that I have not recognized today? Okay, I see Mr. David Bender. David, can you please be sworn in? We can't hear you, David. You need to.
I do.
Please state your name and address, and then please feel free to testify.
David Bender, I'm an attorney with Rosenblum Goldenhirsch. We're at 7733 Forsyth Boulevard. I just wanted to give a bit of a clarification. There's been questions about how long this has been going on and when the different complaints and things like that. My understanding is that there's been numerous complaints submitted, but my understanding is that there's an online form where these complaints get submitted. And in my discussions with Mary, it's my understanding that those forms, for whatever reason, go to a different division or a different department. And so they're not actually in your file and they're not actually part of this hearing. But I did want to try to clarify that on whatever website that is or wherever you're able to make those types of complaints, there have been many complaints filed over the years regarding what's been going on that property.
So I would assume that the website you're speaking of is our Citizen Service Bureau. And I just have a couple of questions I would like to ask you. Do you know if any complaints were ever formally made with the alderperson?
I do not know whether they were or were not. Sorry.
Okay. The next question I guess I would ask is this, you know, we heard from Mr. Wu and he was talking about that this appeared to him in about 2018. Do you know, just for reference, when was that condo building built?
I apologize, but I do not know. I've only been involved in this matter for a short time to try to facilitate the homeowner's concerns.
At this point, I'll ask if any of the board members have any questions for Mr. Bender. Please feel free to ask those now. Okay.
Richard,
Yes,
Chair, I believe it was prior to 2015, I believe. I'm familiar with that area, somewhere in that time frame. It was one of the last developments of the Gaslight Square District.
thank you for that clarification, Director. Any further questions from any of our board members for Mr. Bender? Okay, seeing none at this, thank you, Mr. Bender. At this
Thank you.
point, I would ask that the conditional use permit holder, Mr. Aaron Allen, please be sworn in.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and but the truth so help you God?
Mr. Allen, you're gonna have to speak really loud because you're very distant from the mic. So would you please state your name and address? And then I'll ask you to please tell the board whatever you'd like them to know concerning what you've heard and what your situation is.
This is the camera.
Mhm.
Okay. 4255 Westminster, St. Louis, Missouri, 63108.
Can everybody hear him? Okay. Just a bit louder for the old man here, if you don't mind, sir.
Okay. 4255 Westminster, St. Louis, Missouri, 63108.
Outstanding. And please tell us what you would like us to know about the noted violations, the conditions present, or any of the testimony that you have heard from the other individuals.
I agree with what they're saying. Totally agree. But they got me as a guy that's that has a permit. My permit expired many years ago. It expired, I think the first year it expired probably in 09. So my permit was never active or, legal because I never renewed it. Never did I renew it. But I agree that people are coming in and out of the alley with trucks and stuff. Because that is my brother who's doing it. And, but no one never, not once, complained about it. No one never brought it to anyone's attention that it was a problem until I got here today. Now I'm finding out that it is a problem. I think if someone would have spoke up, it would have been taken care of on the spot. But no one ever said anything until I got this letter. No one ever mentioned anything. And as far as me, the only thing I have is a little pickup truck.
Okay.
And I don't put nothing in the city dumpsters, trash cans. I can only speak for myself.
So let me make a couple comments and ask a couple questions if I may.
Yeah.
So you are the owner of the property?
No, I'm not. No,
You are
I'm not.
not the owner.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not the owner. Hell no.
Do you live at that property?
I live there, but I'm not the owner.
Okay, so you live at the property at
4255.
4255 Westminster,
Been
right?
living there for many a years.
Okay. So with that in mind, the next question I have is are the items that are in the backyard of the property, do they belong to you?
Some of them. Yeah, there are some items back there that belong to me.
Okay, some of them. So
Yes, sir.
who do the other ones belong to?
My brother.
And he is the
Some
owner of the
own.
property.
He don't own it either. The property is owned by my mom. Okay? Stacy Allen. She owns the property.
Good. All right. And so we're talking about the conditional use permit. And so what I will just mention is this, what our records show is the permit was granted in April 29th of 2008.
It
And
never got renewed.
Okay, there is no renewal. It works
it's
like
not?
this. It works like this.
Okay.
Either you surrender it or it is revoked. Those are the only ways that it goes away. And
Oh, I see.
so there is no renewal. So we still show that there's a conditional use permit for that
Okay.
property to you for a hauling
Right.
business.
Right.
Do you still use the property as an office space for your hauling business?
No, I do not.
Okay. So the very, very first thing that I think that we need to establish is with the zoning administrator is that this conditional use permit is no longer necessary because you no longer have a hauling business. And I think, are you telling me that the items that are located on the property in the backyard are not related to that hauling business?
No, it's not. Those items been back there for a long time.
Okay, all right. So this is a completely different animal than related to that permit. All right.
Yeah.
Now let's move to a couple other questions I have. So do you realize that in the city of St. Louis, there are ordinances that prohibit open storage such as what you have in your backyard?
Yes, I am aware of that.
Okay. And so what this is probably going to wind up being is it's going to probably move from a conditional use issue to a property open storage issue with the
Okay.
building division.
Right.
And so even though that is not necessarily under the purview of this board, what I am going to recommend to you is that you remove those items from your yard and get in compliance with the ordinance for a property that is zoned residentially before the city comes and fines you, or they may do that anyway.
They
under a
already
different
did.
department.
Yeah,
Right.
They already did, yeah.
So let me ask the question here. Are you planning on cleaning up this backyard? And if so, what is the schedule to do that?
Yes, the backyard will get cleaned up.
By when?
I don't know, a couple of weeks, maybe sooner. But it's something that's, it's of urgency.
So your intention is to clean it up, remove the
Yeah.
items and get in compliance with city ordinance for residences, correct?
Yes, yes.
All right, at this point in time, I'd like to open the floor up for any of our board members to ask any questions from Mr. Allen, who is the property renter on Westminster.
Yes, Mr. Allen, I appreciate the information you have relayed to President Bradley. Excuse me if you've already answered this or said this information without a question. When, it sounds like conditional use is, as the president said, is not even applicable here. When is the last time you would have performed those services, which is what the intent for the conditional use was or is? How many years ago?
Oh, God, probably about, let me see, that was in 8. I probably stopped using that around 10, about 2010.
I appreciate that clarity. So well over a decade,
Oh,
even
yeah.
though the conditional use permit exists, has already been mentioned, hasn't even been applicable because you have not had a hauling operation there.
No,
Okay. And I don't need to be redundant on what the president said about the items in the yard. Obviously, I'm under the, this is commentary. I'm under the assumption you wouldn't want to live next door to seeing items that may not have value that you said you're going to get rid of. Is that a fair statement?
That's fair.
Thank you, Mr. Allen.
Okay.
Thank you, Director. Any further questions for Mr. Allen from our board members?
I have one, President. Since you're not needing the permit and has not been actively, you haven't worked under it or utilized it in a business, is there intention to surrender it, or do we need to revoke it to, what?
Surrender what?
Your conditional use permit.
Yeah, you can do whatever you want with that. I don't need it. You can revoke it. You can do whatever you need to do.
Okay, thanks. That gives us some guidelines to go with. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Director. Any other questions for Mr. Allen from our board members? Okay. Seeing none, thank you for your time, Mr. Allen. At this time, if there's anyone who is present opposing this revocation, please step forward and testify. I don't see anyone. If there's anyone present, I'm not seeing your hand raised. Please address me by name. Seeing none. Thank you. The matter concerning hearing number 114094 RH is now closed and submitted. The board will now proceed with its regular agenda, and I would ask Secretary to please call the roll.
Director Davis?
Aye.
Director Hayes?
Aye.
Director Isom?
Here.
Director Scobie?
Aye.
Director Scobie?
Present.
Director Williams?
Present.
President Bradley?
Present, we have a quorum. I will call this meeting to order.
For the president, recommendation that approval be given as follows from the Office of Special Events. Request for the following to be approved with certain conditions. One special event to be declared a festival zone, Cupid's Undie Run downtown, start and finish at Busch Stadium on February 12th, 2022 from 1:45 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. Setup will be on February 12th, 2022 at 1 p.m. and tear down will be at 3 p.m. Directors of Public Utilities, recommendation that the board declares as emergency actions the following. Replacement of 2 roll-up doors at the Howard Bend Treatment Plant, coal bunker building. Repair work of the traveling spring machine located in the south well of shore intake located at the Chain of Rocks Water Treatment Plant has revealed additional broken components which need replacement to complete repair work to their 70-year-old equipment. This work will entail replacement of 2 head shaft sprockets. We would like to complete this work as soon as possible to restore the equipment to operational status. Directors of Streets recommendation approval be given as follows. 2 ordinance to conditionally vacate the following. The following 205-foot irregular shaped portion of the 20-foot wide east-west alley in City Block 1960, beginning at Spring Avenue, vacated and continuing eastward to its terminus, same being bounded by Lindell, Grand, West Pine, vacated, and Spring, vacated. 2, the remaining 702.06 feet of the 20-foot wide east-west alley in City Block 3928, beginning 280 feet east of Vandalenter and continuing eastward to its terminus, same being bounded by West Pine, vacated, Spring, vacated, Laclede, and Vandalenter. Directors of Public Utilities and Streets, joint recommendation that 1 application for American Fiber be approved, subject to certain condition, application number 129-652-1313 North Newstead. Joint recommendation that 1 application from Charter be approved, subject to certain conditions, application number 129-638-2616 South 3rd Street. Joint recommendation that 3 applications for MCI be approved, subject to certain conditions. Application number 129, 634, 824, and Avenue. Application number 129, 636, Allen Avenue and Menard Street. Application number 129, 637, southwest corner of South 7th Street and Russell Boulevard. Director of Public Safety, there are 6 conditional use permits.
All right, again, it's Dylan Mosier, zoning, room 400, City Hall. Per board order number 766, transmitted herewith our recommendations for the following conditional use agenda applications. Approval with conditions is recommended for 6 applications. Those are 3003 Locust, 6227 Gravois, 1916 Union, 3528 Shenandoah, 4429 Ridgewood, and 1830 Mackland. I request these recommendations be approved as submitted, and I'm available for any questions if you have any.
Are there any questions on today's conditional uses?
Greg Hayes, motion to approve the conditional uses as submitted.
Davis, second.
Thank you. We have a motion, a second. Can you call the roll, please?
Director Davis,
Aye.
Director Hayes,
Aye.
Director Isom,
Aye.
Director Scoggin,
Aye.
Director Scobie,
Aye.
Director Williams,
Aye.
President Bradley.
Aye, today's conditional uses are approved. Hearing number 114094-RH, Aaron's Hauling, 4255 Westminster Place. We heard from our zoning administrator's office. The conditions are still in violation. We heard from a number of residents and neighbors of the issues that they are having, and they were supporting the revocation. We also heard from Mr. Aaron Allen, who is the conditional use holder, and he testified that the testimony from the residents were correct. It was the first he was hearing of it from the residents. However, he had been contacted by the city, other departments, and that as far as the conditional use goes, he no longer uses it, and it's up to us what we'd like to do with it. My recommendation to the board would be we revoke it, but I will open the floor up for discussion from any of our board members.
Based upon all of the important information we received in that discussion, I make a motion to revoke the conditional use permit at that address.
I second that motion. Scobie.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion from the board? Seeing none, can you call the roll, please?
Director Davis,
Aye.
Director Hayes,
Sorry about that. Aye.
Director Isom,
Aye.
Director Scobie,
Aye, and I don't know, maybe I should have said at that time, let the record reflect that the holder of the permit also agrees with the revocation.
Director Scobie,
Aye.
Director Williams,
Aye.
and President Bradley.
Aye, revoked. I'd like to turn your attention to our meeting minutes from our last BPS meeting, January 18th, 2022. Are there any questions or comments on those meeting minutes? Seeing none, I'll ask for a motion to approve, please.
Motion to approve minutes. Davis.
Second.
Thank you. Motion seconded. Can you call the roll, please?
Director Davis,
Aye.
Director Hayes,
Aye.
Director Isom,
Aye.
Director Scoggin,
Aye.
Director Scobie,
Aye.
Williams, President Bradley.
Aye, the minutes are approved. Today's agenda, questions or comments on our meeting agenda today? Seeing none, I'll ask for a motion to approve, please.
Motion to approve minutes, Isom.
This is agenda.
Second, Scobie.
Just clarification, this is agenda. Is that correct?
Agenda.
Thank you. All right. And I have a second from Director Scobie, correct? Thank you. Can you
Yes.
call the roll, please?
Director Davis,
Aye.
Director Hayes,
Aye.
Director Isom,
Aye.
Director Scogan,
Aye.
Stobie,
Aye.
Director Williams,
Aye.
and President Bradley.
Aye, today's agenda is approved. Before we adjourn, are there any comments or any questions from any of our board directors? Seeing none, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn, please.
Greg Hayes.
Motion-
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Motion to adjourn, Davis?
Second Hayes.
Thank you. We have a motion and second to adjourn. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Meeting adjourned. Thank you all. Have a wonderful afternoon.
Thanks, everyone.
See it.